everyone, welcome back to Yoga avec Moi's YouTube channel. My name is Naha Harbin if you're new to here, and I'm the founder of Yoga avec Moi. And so today's topic is going to be a little bit interesting. Lately, a lot of people have been asking me this, possibly because my dreams have been firing up a lot lately. So I've been making a lot of decisions based on my dreams, or canceling decisions based on my dreams. And so people always are so wonderful and so understanding. Whenever I'm like, I say something, I'm like, yes, I'll do it. And then I'll be like, I slept on it and I had a dream and it was like not really, I can't do this anymore, basically. I'm like, I can't tell you why. Sometimes it's okay, like it's like the dream is appropriate enough to like share. Other times it's like, okay, this is probably just for my information and not for me to tell other people. But yeah, but the answer has always been so well received. Like they always say like, oh my God, I wish I knew how to read my dreams like so well, or like I wish I could remember my dreams so that I could make decisions like based on this. So it's been really sweet, and a lot of people have been asking me now, like, what do you do, or like how do you do it, or like how do you know what you're dreaming is like true or not? So let's get into it. So that's why I created this video for you to be able to interpret your dreams and make better decisions, essentially. So let's get into it. But before we dive deep, I just wanted to share a little bit about my background. So I've shared in a YouTube video before, like a little bit about my background and stuff, but so I'm ethnically Persian. I was born in Canada and I was raised in China. I don't really quite associate myself with the Persian side as much because the other two have really influenced me. However, dreams and dream interpretation is a very, very Persian thing. If anyone knows any Persians around you, if like they've dreamed, they will tell you it was zest and with vigor and great enthusiasm. And people will share their dreams with each other and like ask for like each other's interpretation. Particularly in my family, dreams have played a really big role because it's actually forewarned my family of many traumatic things that have happened. Particularly the example that I'm thinking about is my brother had cancer like about 13 years ago. And before we knew that he had it, my mom had a dream about it. And so several things like that. My mom is just like super in tune with her children. Like she just like knows everything that's about to happen. So she's very subtle. She usually doesn't call us or anything. And whenever she does, it's like very purposeful and like for a point. So whenever she does, we're always like, okay, just tell me what's gonna happen to me. It's like, just tell me what's gonna happen. So even for myself, when I have dreams and stuff, I always go and share it with my mom just to see her perspective, even though I think over time she sees it like dream interpretation. One of the things is that it's very related to cultural things, and so in different cultures certain symbols mean different things. And so one of the things that is actually really important for you to know is that your dreams are very culturally specific to you. But if you're like almost like a what do you call it, like very ethnically diverse and you have a lot of backgrounds, and so in my case, like I have a lot of symbology from like Iran or like Persia or like dynastic like Persian sort of things, and the modern day sort of like Iranian sort of examples, or like the Chinese like cultural backgrounds. I mean, they're very different. So I kind of use a lot of different like bits and pieces, and depending on the state I am in, that's like usually what my intuitive hits come in and tell me that, okay, this is what this means in this moment, in this context, sort of thing. So one thing that is important to know is dreams are culturally specific. So even if you've had any experience like going to a dream interpreter to like share what their perspective is, something that I wanted to share is that regardless of whoever interprets your dreams, it's wonderful. I actually encourage people to go do that. But ultimately, the thing that needs to matter is the thing that what resonates to you. So I've had dream interpretations that I'm like, no, that's not it, but this is it. But I've always been curious about listening to what other people have to say about it. So how I've come to this certainty also of like really getting information from my dream comes from practice. A lot of systematic practice. So I have a scientific background. So usually even my spiritual methods are very rigorous and like also I'm a yoga teacher. So it's like the science of spirituality and the science of material objects. Like the combination just makes everything like very systematic. So part of the dreams interpretation of why I can be so certain of my own is practice, really just practice. And so I was checking the other day on my phone, like usually I write my dreams digitally, but sometimes I also handwrite it, but I write it digitally so that I can have a copy of it and I'm able to like go back and see, because if I have a dream symbol of one type of thing, I usually like to go refer back to it. So I looked at it the other day. I had like about 208 dreams that I've done since like 2017. And so it's not, I don't want to say it's kind of like a mystery, like, or like something very, people make it sound very mysterious. But what it can be is just like really rigorous. Over time you learn like what are the things that like really resonate with you and really speak to you. And so, and yeah, it's kind of like a gradual process. Like I had a lot of dreams before that as well, of course, but I didn't write them down as much, or like I still have a bunch of dreams that I handwritten, and I don't have like a statistics that I can come up with that. So it's definitely more than 200. So imagine like after 200 dreams, you kind of like, you're like, oh, okay, well, if you've done that, like obviously you would know. And so that's kind of like for you too. Like if you get rigorous with your dream annotations and you're like consistently, every time you dream, you like write it down, and then you basically, the second step is what I want to share with you, is to interview your dream. So many people, they get so scared from their dreams because sometimes dreams can be scary, right? And I'm going to tell you that dream interpretation requires bravery. You need to be brave. Like just the other day, I had a like really scary dream. I woke up like 3 o'clock in the morning, which is actually usually what time I wake up, but it was a bit more sudden. I usually wake up like blissfully, whereas this time was like get up sort of situation. And so this time it was like telling me to get up for a purpose, to go and do something. And it was like just basically in the course of my day, I think I went on a vacation for like 3 days and I hadn't like done one of the projects which I'm working on right now. And it was basically my soul was like, hey, focus. And so it was like, I was like, okay. I was like, woke up at 3 in the morning. I'm like, guess we're doing this now. And so it's like, if you have, if you really capture the moment of like when you have a dream, capture the time, like always leave notebooks plastered around your room. Like preferably, I don't leave my phone in my room. So sometimes I have to like get up and go to the other room to get my phone to record it. And but I mean, like if I've had a nightmare, I'm like not gonna go to sleep right away, right? It's gonna take some time, and unless I've like processed it. So it's just like sleep's not gonna come until the characters in your dream come to tell you something and you've listened and they know that you've received the message. Then they're like, okay, she knows now we can go sort of situation. So the second thing is to basically interview all the characters in your dream. So when you write it down, first is to annotate it. Write it down, all the details that come to your mind. Second thing is go systematically, like each of the symbols, objects, people, things, whatever is in the dream, go and interview it. So it's like sometimes people are like, how are you going to interview like a box? Trust me, the box will have things to say to you. Or like, how can I speak to like water or like, you know, nature things? Or like, do I really have to like separate it? What if I saw like a horizon? Do I have to like interview the ocean and the sky, or like the whole horizon? Like, how does it happen? Really, just, it depends on you. Sometimes I get very nitpicky, like if a dream has particularly disturbed me or has affected me in some way, I really like nitpick every single detail. And there's certain particular symbols, like for me, that really get to me are like feces or like urine or like physical private parts. Like when I dream of them, I'm like, oh my God, it's too much. So it's like, usually those are things that like automatically, like I have to go and like, and do many interviews of like each of the details. But other times I'm just like, okay, which part of this, which person in this dream affected me the most, or which object was the most disturbing to me, I'll just go to that one in particular. So that's something you can gauge with yourself and to see like whether or not that's something that, like how it affects you. But basically just be systematic. Be systematic, write it down immediately as you have the dream. And then go and interview the dream and see what happens. And then fourth, go do what the dream told you to do. So basically, if your soul knows that you're a good girl, or like you're a good boy, a good man, good woman, and you are willing and you have the desire to listen to your soul, which that's what a dream is. It's like a window to your soul. It basically tells you in this moment of time what is happening with you. Now there's a caveat to that, because Abdul-Baha, one of the mysteries of God, like this is a very spiritual person who has never existed before in all of religious history. He's also all the religions originated in the East, and he was the first to be able to travel to the West. And soon it's going to be his centenary celebration or visit to the West. So it's a huge deal. So everything that Abdul-Baha has to say is like amazing. So I highly encourage you to actually go read what Abdul-Baha has to say about dreams, and in detail, like read everything. And I'll leave a link below to a reference library that you can go to, that if you have like a question, like just type it on the top, like dreams, and then see what Abdul-Baha has talked about in reference to it. So this example that I'm going to give you is actually from Abdul-Baha. And so Abdul-Baha talked about dreams of being of three kinds. The first of that is a symbolic dream. And out of personal experience, this has been the majority of my dreams, which is that they're symbolic, there's symbols within the dreams that you need to kind of like extract and like obtain meaning. This is where it gets really personal with people, depending on who you are, because then certain objects and certain things mean different things to you. Like you might have had an experience with a particular object or thing that like other people won't know about, or like whoever, if you do go to a dream interpreter and you give them a dream that like you really wanted to have interpreted, there might be symbols in there that they don't know what it means to you, but you do. You know what it means to you. So it's really important to kind of like have that sort of like framework in your mind and that understanding that, again, it's like very cultural in that sense. So Abdul-Baha talks about first is like symbolic dreams. Second is dreams of telling of the future. And that's kind of like the type of dream that my mom had, which was that my brother had cancer like several weeks after that. Or so basically after she had that dream, she told us to like really watch after our older brother, which was a little unusual thing to say for the younger ones, to watch out for the older ones. But he wasn't doing very well. He was very sick on and off. And so just like with the common cold, but then it became clear like why it persisted for so long. And so she was like, with the cold, she was just like telling us to like watch out. So that was a future telling dream. But then there are other types of dreams that Abdul-Baha mentions, which is like when you are physically ill, that you're that you have a dream that's like very, like many of you might actually relate very well to this, that when you've been ill, sometimes you have these like whack dreams that you're just like, you don't even know what's happening, and you're just like, what is going on? And it's not even a type of dream that you're like, I don't even want to go and interpret this dream. Like, I'm like, I don't want to know what the meaning of this was. Or sometimes, so that's like the third thing. So these are the three things that Abdul-Baha talked about, like symbolic dreams, telling of the future, and when your physical body is ill, sometimes you can have like imbalances there. And that makes sense. Like if your physical body is having some sort of issue and your body is intimately connected with your soul, and a dream is a window to your soul, if there's a distortion between the connection of your body and your soul, there's going to be some weird things there. Not necessarily. So when I spoke to an intuitive healer, and I was telling her about dreams and all these things, and she mentioned something that was really interesting, that sometimes you have dreams that are actually of the state of the world, or they're of the consciousness of the collective, and they're not yours. And then you might be like waking up. So for me, it was like, I was really taking everything as like, this was my issue, or this is like something that I need to work on, or this is something that I need to do. But then sometimes one needs to also have in one's minds the adjustment that you could have a dream of the situation of the society that you're in. So for instance, right now, the world, the global world, is in an outbreak. So what you would be experiencing, like for me at least, like because I'm a very, very sensitive to the surroundings that is around me, I pick up on a lot of things that other people have that are not mine. I don't know if this is just like a healer's journey or what it is, but for me, it's like very much so that like I need to disconnect what is mine and what is the journey that I have to do, and what is like just a reflection that is around me. So let's, for instance, like how this is relevant to you is that if you have a dream, I would actually recommend for you to first assess for yourself whether or not this is for you or for someone else, or just a reflection of the world around you. So the best thing is actually when you wake up from a dream is to say some prayers, and to see how you feel after you've said some prayers, if that is a practice of yours. If not, you can meditate if prayer is not within your practice. But it's so good that I just recommend you to like say a prayer just to calm your nerves and to really get back to center and to connect with the true source. Because you could be picking up on a lot of garbage that is not important, and it's not soul activity, but it's psyche activity. And there's a difference with that, and perhaps I will spend another video to talk about what that difference is. But it's not the same. It's not the same, I will say that now. And so what you want is information from your soul and not your psyche. The psyche is basically a reflection of what is around you. That, at least for a person who's walking the spiritual path, you're like, I don't care about what the vast majority of people think, because it's majority garbage. And so it's like, I don't want to be spending my precious time and energy to interpret the garbage of our society. Although I would say that no action is ever wasted, is ever quite wasted, but there are priorities in your life, and there are limited, you do have limited access to energy. So that's something that you really need to be like mindful of, like where you want to expend your energy when it comes to like dream interpretation and stuff like that. Because sometimes, my gosh, like it could be every day that you have a dream. At least for me, it's like sometimes I'm like, okay, it's like I get so tired of like interpreting my dreams that like by the third day I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll wait maybe to the third day before I interview, because the dream is going to keep coming back to me in different ways for me to get a point. And sometimes like I'm like, I don't like this symbology, I don't even want to entertain this sort of thing, show me in a different way. So that's another thing that you can also do, is to tell your soul is like, I don't like dreams that freak me out, so stop that. If you want to give me a message, cool, awesome, thank you. But please give it to me in a symbology that is more tasteful, or something that like I can find a little bit more accepting, or that doesn't freak me out, or doesn't like really destroy my nervous system after it's done. Like, you know, waking up in the middle of the night, like at 3 in the morning every day is not going to be healthy for you, right? And so sometimes like your dreams fire up like that. Other times it's just like, I'm chill, like we're good right now. Like we don't really have any urgent matters to deal with. But I have particularly found it very useful for things that I've not been sure of. So because of dreams, like I've really had to learn how to prioritize the things that are important to me and that really matter. Or even like when it comes to like certain clients, like who to take on and who not to take on. Recently had a dream about that too, that was very, this was not a dream that I could have known consciously. So I think that it took several times actually for me to get it, because like I didn't see any signs, any red flags in the human world, in the visible world. And so I was just like very perplexed by what was coming out in this dream. And so it took me several times for me to dream a very similar thing for me to be able to make that decision. So it's not always easy. Sometimes you're just like, man, I really like this person, or like I really want to work with this person, but like, geez, my dreams are just like, no thank you. And you don't know the reason why. Now I've gotten to a point where I don't even question what my intuition is anymore. I'm just like, all right, if you have something to say, I'll listen to it, because anytime I have not listened to you, it has not panned out well for me. So I know what the opposite is, so let's just go this route and just not question it, because there's some things that you just don't need to know, or just like things that like are not important to you, but you get a symbol in a different way that tells you that like it's not right for you to be here. But it doesn't matter what the other person is or is not. So another thing that I found is that dreams can be really like hard to explain to people. Like, I mean, I've had like the people who are surrounding me right now are generally like very spiritual and really into like these sorts of things. But like, I mean, like imagine like telling your boss, like I had a dream and I can't do it. So that's not like, I don't think humans are ready for that yet. Probably in the future, like we'll get to that point where we can have those kind of conversations, but we're not there yet. So I think the dreams are also something that's really important for you to note, that it's for you. It is not for other people. So I've had a lot of times where I've shared my dreams with my mom or like people that I trust, and they've convinced me otherwise. They're like, no, that's like such a bad decision, or so wrong to think of someone in that way, or like, well, why? You don't even have a reason why you don't want to work with them. Like, so why? And so they convince you otherwise, whereas there might not be a reason. Like perhaps like there is a protection, a veil in a sense, to hide from you the other person's real reason, but all you need to know is that this is not right for you here. And that's enough information. Like you don't need to know like the truth, you know, of the other person or of yourself, or to divulge that truth to other people. For instance, like the case of the boss, like I don't think like, I wouldn't recommend you going to your boss and telling you that, hey, I had a dream and stuff like that. I mean, I've done that before. But I don't know, I'm okay with like receiving eyes that look like, what is this girl on about? But I'm okay with that. So that's something that you have to consider with like being so open about these sort of things. For me, it like really depends. Like if it's a person that I trust and I feel that I'm like, I really like them and I really just don't want to ruin the relationship or something like that, but I do tell them, I'm like, sorry, I had a dream and it looks like this is not a good decision. I don't even know why, but for the moment, it's not working out. So let's just put a pause on this, or like, I'm really sorry. Like, and also this is really difficult for me to do because like, I don't like going back on my word. I find myself to be very integrous, honorable, and like, if I say something, I'll do it. But then when it comes to my dreams, I'm just like, oh God, like imagine maintaining or clinging to those words, your honor, your dignity and stuff, when you have a message to do otherwise. So that's something I really want to share with you guys, that is to remember this. Virtues are not always virtues when they're used in every context. You have to check out what context it is. And so people generally are going to be fine with you like making a change of plans when you've had a new insight, that you're like, oh, this is new information that has come in that wasn't there before, and I need to listen to it, and I'm sorry. I really think that this is like a way that people are going to make decisions in the future. But for now, as we're not there yet, use it with caution and gauge to see how comfortable you feel and how open you feel with sharing like your dreams and things like with other people. So yeah, I think that's about it that I wanted to share. So write down your dreams, interview your dream, go do what the dream says, and basically live your dream, and like show that you have a longing to like know what your soul has to tell you, right? So with that, I actually wanted to share that I recently did a online lecture that had to do with dreams, and it was a bilingual lecture. I was speaking in Chinese and in English. The slides were in English and Chinese, and actually, surprisingly, a majority of the things that I just mentioned now were not mentioned in the lecture. So if that's something that you actually are interested in doing, the replay is available for you for purchase. And so I'll leave the link down below. The system is a Chinese system, so let me know if you have a difficulty navigating it to be able to purchase it or find it. But basically, you do need WeChat. WeChat would be very helpful for you to have. Otherwise, just send me an email and let me know that maybe perhaps we can work another way to work through PayPal. But yeah, if that's something like really helpful for you, like that would be, I think, really an excellent exercise for you to do. So what we did in that class was like several people brought their dreams to the table, and I shared some of my interpretations or how to go about doing it. And I think those kind of like tangible hands-on things are really helpful for people. At least it was very helpful for me when I was taking a course like that. So yeah, that link will be provided below if that's something of interest to you. And yeah, subscribe to my channel. I hope you like this video. Yeah, and let me know in the comments below, like, what was one thing that you took away from this, or like, will you be actually using these sort of methods? And let me know if there's any follow-up videos from this that you would like. I'm always excited and happy to answer your questions, and particularly of dream interpretation is like one of my favorite things to do. Oh, and also I wanted to let you guys know that I do actually offer to interpret people's dreams, but knowing that ultimately you're the only one that can, your interpretation of the dream is the thing that matters like the most. And that even though like you go through the interviews and stuff like that, sometimes some people still want to hear someone else's opinion, as this is the case for myself, and to just have someone else like share their own perspectives like enriches like the understanding of certain dreams. And now I wouldn't say like for every dream, unless you would really like to be coached to like how to interview your dreams and such. I would just say that like with the dreams that like really mean something to you and that you keep thinking about and like it keeps gnawing at you, and like you've already done the interviews like maybe several times over several days, these certain characters, is like to keep them in your mind, and you still would like something, then definitely reach out to me. Like that would be something that I would love to do. I always think it's like super fun. So yeah, subscribe to my channel, and I hope you like this video, and I will see you next time.